Jubilation filled the courtroom after a Texas judge frees an innocent man.
It was a story that stunned the nation. A young man wrongly imprisoned for 12 years, set free thanks to the Wisconsin Innocence Project.
He wrote to us out of the blue, and it led to his exoneration, and that was just a really transformative moment for us.
More than a decade later, Chris Ochoa still shares his story with law students, and cases like his continue to inspire.
I came to law school for the Innocence Project. I knew I wanted to be a part of that.
I want to be an advocate for people.
That's also what drove a young Keith Findley when he went to law school.
We were representing people in prison, and it just sucked me in, and I got hooked on it.
It was the early 1980s, and the prevailing mood was to get tough on crime.
There had become sort of a rush to judgment often in criminal cases, and a sense that we wanted to just throw people in prison and throw away the key. I had the sense that there was a tremendous amount of injustice occurring.
But there wasn't much an idealistic young law student could do about it.
Then along came DNA.
In 1989, DNA evidence was used for the first time to prove an innocent man had been wrongly imprisoned for 8 years.
And pretty soon, we were starting to see a large number of people being exonerated by DNA evidence, and it started shattering that myth of infallibility. The system does make mistakes, and it's making mistakes at a higher rate than we thought.
So UW-Madison launched the Wisconsin Innocence Project.
We were about the third or fourth Innocence Project in the nation. There are now 66 Innocence Projects scattered around the world. My colleague John Prey and I thought, if this is a problem elsewhere, this is surely a problem here.
Turns out they were right.
We were soon inundated with claims of innocence. The pressure is put on, even when there's really powerful evidence of innocence.
Their goal was not only to investigate those claims of innocence, but to give law students a unique opportunity by putting the cases into their hands.
Law students learn by handling real clients in real cases under the supervision of clinical faculty.
The level of student involvement in the cases here is unique.
You have all of this one-on-one time with your supervising attorney, and they really, really care about making you a better lawyer.
We'll have to ask him about that on the stand. We essentially start the case again from the beginning. We gather all of the records in the case, the police reports, the transcripts of the prior trial.
They want to teach you how to do these things.
It certainly was appealing to me that we might be able to help some people.
But early on, the founders weren't sure what would come of the program.
I didn't know if we'd ever find anybody innocent or free anybody.
Just a year after the program started, they heard from a young Texas prisoner named Chris Ochoa.
Chris was our first exoneration.
A woman got murdered, raped, and robbed, and it was at a local restaurant. And a couple of days later, I think on a Friday, I was picked up and brought in for questioning. So I was pretty naive, young. I'd never been arrested.
Though there was no hard evidence, police interrogated the 22-year-old for days without an attorney and eventually coerced a confession from him.
There's dogs sometimes I've seen in the street. They're starving, they're really skinny, and some cruel people just kick them. That's how I was, like a dog. They were just kicking me there. My brain was mush. I was tired. I just wanted to go home, wanted it to end. So I would repeat what they wanted me to say.
Ochoa was sentenced to life in a Texas prison.
They locked the doors, and I felt so alone.
At the time, Texas didn't have an Innocence Project. So in desperation, Ochoa sent a plea to Wisconsin, telling them,
I'm an innocent man in a Texas prison for a crime I didn't commit. I've about given up on the system. I haven't given up on myself. You're my last hope.
That's all I wanted, was somebody to listen to me.
After nearly 2 years of work on the case, DNA evidence proved that Ochoa was innocent.
And the judge said, okay, Mr. Ochoa, I think this is a miscarriage of justice. On behalf of the court and whatever, we apologize to you. You're free to leave.
Chris Ochoa was free, but had lost 12 years of his life.
We can't bring back all the years. We can't.
It's a bit of a bittersweet moment because it's so satisfying to give these people back their freedom, but you know you can't give them back everything they've lost. It is so emotional and so rewarding.
I owe them a lot. The whole state The whole university at that time was, I owe them.
It was affirming that we were on the right track, that this was possible, that these cases were out there. And so people started sitting up and taking notice in Wisconsin.
Ochoa actually moved to Madison to join the Innocence Project as a law student.
I loved it. I mean, it felt like home.
The program has become one of the most popular clinical projects at the UW Law School, and demand for the work is high.
We've received somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000 requests. We only are able to assist a very small fraction.
And even that is only possible because of dedicated students.
We don't have a small army of lawyers to throw at this.
Our students commit to work in the Wisconsin Innocence Project for a full calendar year, so they get a real immersion experience.
Students need to recreate crime scenes and look for new evidence.
Because you were standing up when you got shot.
They're out knocking on doors, talking to people, looking for records, reviewing transcripts. You have to look under every stone. You have to question everything.
They just teach you to look for every little detail.
People's lives are at stake here.
It is painstaking work.
These tend to be really large cases, very difficult to learn, very time-consuming.
I'd say that at times over the past year, that kind of drains you a little bit.
Cases can take years to pay off, and most students don't personally see the outcome of their hard work.
We do feel like we're taking that torch from the previous group and we're going to carry it on to the next group.
I have to do my absolute best so that I can put the next students in the best position to do even better.
So that eventually an innocent person might walk free, like Devon Robinson, who was locked up for 4 years for a crime he did not commit.
We've arrived at Racine Youthful Offenders Facility to see Devon Robinson meet his mom outside for the first time in over 4.5 years.
What's cracking?
It's emotional, it's exhilarating. It's just so very satisfying because you've come to know these people.
There's many years built up in those tears.
As a lawyer, I don't think there is anything that's more gratifying than correcting such a profound injustice as sending an innocent person to prison.
Those students are often drawn to the noble cause of innocence. What they really end up learning is the careful pursuit of truth.
You have to remain open-minded enough to recognize that no matter how sure you are about something, you might be wrong. The unlikely, the unexpected might actually be the truth.
It's not a cause to exonerate as many people at any cost. It's to get it right. I mean, our goal is that the criminal justice system get it right.
And it starts with training careful, caring attorneys.
If there are going to be changes in the criminal justice system, part of that's going to come from the lawyers that are working in it.
This project changes your outlook. I think it makes you want to be more fair.
I really believe that it's improved me as a law student, as a future attorney.
It helps us make the system better. You're helping to shine light on problems in the criminal justice system so that it better protects innocent people in the future. Every time you convict an innocent person, that means you're failing to convict the truly guilty.
There's going to be mistakes in the system, but we can do better to avoid them.
And ultimately avoid the need to celebrate the freedom of the innocent.